Have you ever had those old boring nights when you would wait for a queue for a fairly long time and just want to do something else other than, watching shows? So in this video, I'm going to be talking about top 3 games that I personally like to play for various reasons while I am waiting for a queue for a match. Now, mind you, in all of these games, because I need to see that I am starting the game, that I have found the game, I must be able to see my Windows taskbar. So in all of these games, I play them in windowed mode, so that's definitely one factor. So the factors that I'm using is these games, and when you're picking your games that you want to play in the background, I suggest you use the same criteria, is that first, they must not be too immersive. The immersion should not be the top priority because the getting in and out of the game, that can lose a lot of the appeal of that game. Two is that it should not force you to rethink your whole outlook, your whole strategy, or at least give you that what the hell was I doing sort of impression. Or even if it does, it should be pretty quick. Like, you should be able to remember what you were doing. Three, it should feel relatively same in a relatively same pace as Arena, mostly so that you do not get overwhelmed by change of pace. Number 3 on our list is the Sunless Sea. I like the Sunless Sea as a queue waiting game because you are encouraged to pause it at any moment. It is very easy to get back into, in my opinion, and if you have charted a complicated course, for immersion's sake, I like to keep a pen and paper with me just to note which course that I plot. It makes me feel a little bit like a captain. It prevents me from getting bored from Arena and vice versa. So it is different enough to make it feel different, however similar enough so that I don't get too distracted, if that makes sense to you. In general, Sunless Sea is a wonderful game, especially if you love Lovecraftian horror. It really captures that sense of dread. However, it also gives you enough power so that you begin to feel at least a little control over your destiny. But enough with the game, definitely check it out. On to the next one. Although, before we do, I should probably mention, as soon as you find a game, you might want to turn off the volume from the settings. That way you do not get distracted from playing Arena. And on number 2, there's a game that I initially wanted to put on number 1, but I realized it's a bit of like a niche thing, and there's a bit of a nostalgia involved with this game. I used to have a lot of great time with Heroes 5 when I was a kid. I mean, sure, for a lot of people, Heroes 3 might have a more nostalgic value, and for me it was Heroes 4 and 5. This game is great. I have recently re-downloaded it with the Tribes of the East expansion. It is wonderful because it just fits great. It's turn-based, its combat is turn-based, it's got different styles of modes. You've got the city building, you've got your overall strategy, and you've got the battle segment, as I'm about to show you. So this is the overview map, and this is the your troop placements. And the reason I really like this one is because when you switch it, the sound does not extend to the other fields, like the other windows. Which means that you can easily alt-tab in and out without any hassle. So because of that, this game definitely takes the second spot. You can also replace it with any Hero series, really. As I said, it's a personal preference. But on to the number 1. And for number 1, we have Stellaris. Now, the reason I picked Stellaris was because I feel like Stellaris is a bit more of a timeless game rather than Heroes. I picked Heroes mostly because of nostalgia, plus I like that sort of game. It's a bit of a different kind. It's a grand strategy, of course, but I have found it is very easy to switch between the two. And when you play in a windowed mode, just like this, I now alt-tabbed it, it is also very easy to switch. However, Stellaris has one problem that the Heroes does not, which is the sound. So whenever you find a game, you'll need to turn off your sound and just keep it in this window. I'll tab it real quick, and here you go. You are back. In general, you might consider that Stellaris might require a lot of time to get back into after a game, but I have never found that to be the case. Like a 15-20 minute break from Stellaris does not cause me to forget what I was doing. Maybe in the short term it does, but the side panel allows me to remember all of that. Like maybe a few days break does cause me to try to remember what I was doing earlier. I was also going to think about Europa Universalis 4, but when I was doing Europa Universalis 4, I felt like I needed a lot more time to remember what I was doing in comparison to Stellaris, because I felt like Europa Universalis is a bit more unforgiving when it comes to mistakes, at least in after some point of the game. I don't know if you would agree with me on that, but that was kind of like a personal opinion when it came to Europa Universalis. But so yeah, that was the top 3 list that I like to play while I'm waiting for the queue. Do let me know in the comments section which games you would prefer, which games that you would suggest that I try while I'm waiting for the queue that kind of fits that criteria. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you'd like to be notified of the videos that I release, do click that bell button in case, if you're not getting the notifications. This was our top 3 list of the games Ark likes to play in his queue time, and we'll see you next time.